And we are continuing our series, our podcast series, or whatever you want to call this, with Rhodes Consulting Group and El Mundo Boston. And today we are going to meet a new Rhodes Consulting partner. But before we get started, remember Rhodes Consulting is a partner of El Mundo Boston, and we have the founder, Jose Perez. Jose, how are you today?
Albertito, thanks so much for having me here today.
Yeah.
Awesome to see you again and the entire group of El Mundo.
Yes, the excitement that you exude is just unbelievable, overwhelming. Getting him to laugh I get 5 points for that little laugh right there. And someone who I do not have to make laugh, because she's just excitable anyways, Dr. Tariana V. Little. She's the CEO and founder of EmVision. We love her here because she's a Latino 30 Under 30 2018 recipient.
Yes, I'm part of the El Mundo family.
You are. You really, really are. But now you're also part of the Rhodes Consulting Group family. Yes. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your incredible capability. I've seen some of on your website. If you go on now, we have the website up if you want to learn more. But tell me how you would describe the services that your company provides.
EmVision Productions is a social impact media agency. We produce content, we partner with organizations on causes, and we are philanthropists giving forward through our grant program and subsidized collaborations.
All right. So in your world, Jose, why does her company complement what you're trying to do in terms of the overall Rhodes Consulting Group vision?
Well, in reality, at the end of the day, she's still an entrepreneur. She's a small business. She's an elite alpha woman. And she has a great story to tell. And her business has been a fantastic journey to make part of this history, one way or the other, right? They're doing fantastic work for corporations and nonprofits. And it's a clear story of how businesses could actually scale, actually doing businesses with blue chip names. And to their history and to what they have done, EmVision has been a proven history of success in penetrating corporate members and nonprofit sides.
So I get like an emotional answer. Like
I was emotional, and I don't even know what the answer was. Yeah, yes. I'm glad you brought that up, because how does that make you feel when he says that?
I mean, I feel like I'm your mentee. I feel like I'm Jose's mentee because we met in the Enterprise program where he was the professor. And here I was not knowing anything about business. We are self-taught. We don't know what we don't know. And so I met Jose and he changed our life because he's like, you have to do this differently, this is going wrong, this is right. And we listened and our business grew.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that, because we always say that as Latinos, we start businesses, we know what we're doing from a business we're producing or the service, right? You have a great creative team. But there is another part to the business, right? Which is the back end, the business part. Is that where Jose came in and to quote you, changed your life?
Yes, the foundation of the business, both from time management to processes and procedures, team culture, how we are pricing our services, just really thinking about the strategy and making sure that our foundation was strong, because he always saw our potential. He always said, you can be $1 million business. And I'm like, what? That number just feels so big, so unattainable. But through his mentorship, through his like no bullshit approach, which I like, we're reaching that goal.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to edit that. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
we're all adults here.
That's a good kick for the
We're all
pod.
adults here. We're all adults here. I'm just kidding, Dr. Little. Jose, exactly, without getting into too many details, but what would you say was some of the areas that you really helped her business in specifically?
Well, at the end of the day, it's really getting them to think that they could be a corporation and not a small business, right? And now they're beginning to operate, think like one, execute like one. And it clearly shows, right? The number of contracts that they've been awarded, the collaborations that they've been doing, the partnerships with nonprofits, with major players in the game. It has shown and has yielded the returns that they actually are enduring and enjoying today. Their company has grown a lot. From a team perspective, from a culture perspective, from a procedure perspective. Today, this year, I think they're going to be able to even move into their own location, which is fantastic, and in a big sense of pride and enjoyment of who they have become as business owners.
Yeah.
Si Dios quiere.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dios quiere. Dr. Little, tell me a little bit about your business, right? Give me a scope of the size. And we've heard a little bit of how he's helped you, but how did you start? How many people when you first started? How long ago did you found this business, and where are you now?
Let me give you a little bit of the backstory. 10 years ago, I was in a PhD program. I was going to be a researcher looking at storytelling interventions and helping patients become healthier through interventions that had a story in it. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be a rock star researcher. But I kept wondering, could we use storytelling strategies to help businesses and organizations? Can I work outside of academia and in the community? And so my husband and I co-founded EmVision Productions. And a few years later, I actually left PhD studies and focused on business and communications within public health. And it was a complete risk.
Yeah.
And then life would have it, life is funny. I ended up back in school. I was at Harvard. I pursued a doctorate that was a much better fit for my skills and my passion. Graduated, I now teach there and have been building the company from my husband and me to now a team of 6 and a growing freelance team.
Wow, that's incredible. So that's a great story. You're right. That it is an incredible story.
Agreed.
And what I want to get to back to you, Dr. Little, is tell me a little bit of that kind of struggle, right? You went from academia to small business owner, right? Which is 2 completely different worlds, lots of different types of pressure. And how has Rhodes been able to help you kind of navigate that incredible transition?
Academia and entrepreneurship, what I have found, what they have in common is that, especially if you're a scientist, you have to have an experimental mindset. You need to always see things from a place of an experiment. If I tweak this, this will happen. What if I do that? Like the hypothesis is, if I change my pricing, is this going to turn off customers or am I going to open up to a new market? If I hire this person, what's the impact it's going to have on this other facet of the business? So always having that experimental, risky mindset that you have to have as a scientist, and that curiosity and that persistence, that carries over to entrepreneurship. However, what is different is that there are different practices in entrepreneurship and business that you don't learn in academia. So having Jose's mentorship, where he can say, these are standard practices in business. These are business terms. This is how to think. This is how to strategize. That has been invaluable.
Wow. Now, Jose, let's talk a little bit about the type of companies that Rhodes Consulting Group's helps, aside from Dr. Little, because we have this. So the way I see it is you're a social media agency, producers of content. Your clients are a lot of organizations, nonprofits, et cetera, right? But you're looking to grow. This adds to your portfolio. Give me just very briefly, before we come back to Dr. Little, kind of the portfolio that you have your clients, because this is not just one type of client. You have many, right?
Correct. I mean, it's important to highlight that it's not just one particular segment or industries that we're helping out today. It's the segment of being an entrepreneur, being a disadvantaged entrepreneur, and being someone that really wants to learn and wants to do something different. Execution goes along par with this, right? We all could go into business, but the mindset that is behind every single entrepreneur is the one that we're trying to mold. We're trying to make them think different. We're trying to make them achieve different items. And Tariana and Jonas is a perfect example of that. I think the small minority business have pivoted a lot, and now they want to be a corporation with corporate structure and family values. And I really imagine that, and I really applaud that.
Yeah. Is that what he described well? What a little bit about your values and the mission?
We definitely have family values. We definitely have social justice values. And what I want to be able to do is leverage entrepreneurship as a wealth building strategy for my family, but also community impact.
Yeah, that's a great segue into our last leg of this interview, because one of the things I always like to do in these is get to know everybody. If you're watching this for the first time, if you don't know about Jose, I want to give you the opportunity, Jose. How do you describe yourself? Because this is a series, but if you didn't see the other 2, how would you describe Rhodes Consulting Group in 30 seconds or less, my friend?
So once again, Rhodes Consulting Group is a small minority boutique firm of consultants. And what we do is we specialize in helping minority-owned businesses scale. From one way to the other, right? It could be through human resources, it could be to marketing, it could be to bookkeeping, it could be to strategy, it could be to RFP, operations, or overall partnerships, right? We speak over 5 different languages. We operate in New England, so it's not just Massachusetts. And we're able to do this in a way where we actually specialize the different assistance that we provide for all businesses directly to your needs. We are open to all different industries. As you can see, today we have EmVision. Last time we had La Hacienda, and we have Carrying Bees. We also have plumbing companies. So the broad of coverage is definitely extensive. So if you're having a challenge, if you want to approach something and talk to someone about a particular issue, the doors are all open. So come and talk to us.
Very, very good. And now, young lady, you talked to me about 5-10 years ago. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Let's move forward.
In 5 years, I want us to be known as a serious player in terms of storytelling and also a social enterprise and a company that leads with social justice values, and it's changing the game in terms of what a small business can do. We are philanthropic, so we're moving into the space of being able to use capital to make moves, to make decisions, to have an impact. I want to be able to have a building or a series of buildings where we can have in-house production that's controllable, where we can have educational spaces, community spaces. I want us to expand nationally and have a freelance team and be a small business that is an example of what conscious capitalism can look like.
Conscious capitalism today discussed here at El Mundo Boston. I love it.
Awesome.
Jose, thank you for continuing on this series. I know we've got more. Thank you, Dr. Little.
My pleasure.
For first coming back to your family, right? Coming back home.
You didn't know my name when you saw me, though.
Yeah, whatever.
Let's keep it real.
Whatever. I
But it's
knew
a
she would do
pleasure.
that.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Jose.
Now you're not gonna forget it.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it seem like I've known her for years. Well, I do know her because I met her, obviously for the Latino 30
Yes.
under 30.
Yes.
But they grow up so quickly, these
We
kids,
do.
right?
And my face has changed.
I stay the same. They're the ones that change.
I look totally different. Yes.
Exactly. I look younger.
I think you're frozen in age. My
Yes,
friend.
frozen in age.
Looking good, looking good.
What's that fountain of youth over in Florida?
Yes, yes.
All right, I took a shower there. All right. All right, Jose, thank you again. And Dr. Little, thank you and congratulate your entire team
Thank you,
at
Vin.
EmVision.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that's it for this capsule for with Rose Consulting Group and El Mundo Boston.
Como hija de inmigrantes de la República Dominicana y de Alemania, lo que me apasiona es usar la oportunidad que yo tengo en este país para ayudar a los demás. EmVision es una agencia con una misión social. Producimos videos sobre temas importantes, facilitamos talleres en línea sobre la comunicación y además ayudamos a la comunidad con donaciones para nuestros servicios gratuitos. Nuestro equipo es diverso, somos multiculturales, somos multilingües, somos inmigrantes o somos los hijos de inmigrantes. Entonces tenemos esa historia de fortaleza, de arriesgarnos a hacer algo diferente para crecer. Nuestra especialidad es videos. Representamos las comunidades y los temas que estamos produciendo. Entendemos de una manera personal los temas difíciles e importantes que cubrimos en nuestras historias. Nuestros clientes son organizaciones con una misión social y pueden ser pequeñas o muy grandes, pueden ser corporaciones también. Gracias a Rhodes, mi compañía no solamente ha sobrevivido la pandemia, pero ha crecido y está ya en una jornada de crecimiento. Y en cada etapa yo tengo que crecer también, yo tengo que cambiar para poder ser la líder que mi negocio necesita. Pero lo que yo considero más importante para mí es esas consultas que yo tengo con José personalmente cada mes, donde él me ayuda a ser una líder mejor, una pareja mejor a mi esposo, que es también mi cofundador. Igual, cómo ser una emprendedora mejor. Entonces, es esa educación, esa formación como líder que yo considero lo más importante que yo recibo de Rose Consulting Group.